Welcome to Between Lewis and Lovecraft.
I'm Hannah.
And I'm Tyler.
We're here to learn more about the lives of authors that have inspired us, a journey into the stories they not only created, but also lived.
So join us as we dive deep into the worlds that live just out of reach.
Like the mood music. Yeah.
Hannah show.
No. We need the sexy time music. The okay, boys and girls gather round.
I didn't realize you were going. That music you did was not sexy time music. That was like happy time music. That was, if you want, it's.
Okay, yeah. Okay, yeah. Just do that.
Welcome, boys and girls, to Hannah's show, where we're gonna get it on by talking about books and things. I don't know what I'm talking about anymore.
You started really strong.
Yeah,
kind of like 50 Shades of Grey.
Real fast.
All right, well, we're just gonna do the thing. So this is the episode that I am forcing Tyler to do. He wants no part of. We're gonna talk about sex
for this one.
Yeah, Tyler doesn't even want to have to see me as we're talking about this. So we are talking about kind of a lot of different literary things. This is a 2-author episode. We are diving into the erotica genre, which is different than romance.
Because when Hannah said, "Hey, Tyler, we're going to do 2 ladies at once," I was like, hell yeah. And then she said, "We're going to do 50 Shades of Grey." And I was like, no.
So otherwise 2 ladies at once is fine with you, but just no handcuffs.
Yeah, if it wasn't, for marriage and generally respecting women, it'd be great.
2 kind of big obstacles, but whatever. Bit. So the 2 authors that we are talking about are E.L. James, who is the author of the mega hit franchise 50 Shades of Grey. If you haven't heard of this, I can only assume you've been living under a rock for the last 10 years. And then the other author is Anna Todd, who was not a name that I recognized until my younger sister was like, "Hannah, have you read the book After by Anna Todd?" And I was like, "What? This looks terrible. I will read it."
I must read it. Yes.
I must read it. So both of these authors, they write erotica fiction, which basically means it's porn with words, which is different than word porn.
What's the difference between this and word porn? Just
word porn
general
is
curiosity.
Word porn is what people say when, words look pretty and you did pretty things with words. It's like food porn is not porn involving food. It's cool pictures of food.
So, okay, wait.
This is not word porn. This is porn written.
I understand how food porn works. What is an example of word porn?
A really well-written alliterative sentence would be word porn for me.
Okay.
If you manage to start every sentence in your word, or every word in your sentence with the same letter and have it still sound musical, I'd be like, whoa, that really did something for me on a literary level.
Yeah. It's like a wordgasm for you.
Yes, a wordgasm. This is not this, or these books are not that.
We're not going to have wordgasms.
I had 0 wordgasms while reading these books.
You heard it here, folks. Hannah had 0 wordgasms while reading
None at
50
all.
Shades of Grey.
I did read both.
This is a great start. I love it.
I read 50 Shades of Grey, just the first one, and After, just the first one, because these are ridiculously long series, ridiculously long books for being just about sex. You don't need a 500+ page book about sex.
Unless you're really good at sex.
They are not good at writing about sex, I feel like, but whatever. So, I guess just getting into it, we're going to dive into the life of E.L. James a little bit.
Yeah, just for the audience. I say this to Hannah almost every single time we start a show. I say, it's going to be all on you, kid. I'm just here for the goofs. And almost every single time I'm lying, I've done at least a little bit of research. I cannot stress the amount of not doing research that I did for this episode. Like, actively, I even thought, like, today I'm coming into the studio early. Maybe I'll go watch a quick YouTube video on just what the fuck 50 Shades of Grey really is, who E.L. James is, like, just have an idea of who this person is. And then I was like, no, I genuinely don't want to know more before Hannah tells me. So I'm just here for the goofs, kid. That's what I'm here for.
Watch as Tyler proceeds to, like, monologue for 10 minutes. Not even at the end, in the middle, probably.
Just gotta get ready. Just gotta warm up the voice, you know.
Yeah, some vocal warm-ups. Okay.
Yeah.
So, starting with E.L. James and 50 Shades of Grey. Erica Mitchell, better known by her pen name Snow Queen's Ice Dragon at E.L. James.
Oh my god. Oh my god.
See, it begins already. She was born on March 7th, 1963 in Middlesex, England. Insert dirty joke about Middlesex here.
Yeah.
Her mom was... Oh, gross. Food porn. Her mom...
Sorry, continue.
Tyler can't help himself. Her mother was from Chile and worked as a sales representative, and her dad was from Scotland and worked as a cameraman for the BBC. Yeah. So it seems like she had a pretty, like, normal middle-class upbringing in Middlesex, England, and attended Piper's Corner School and Wycombe High School. She studied history at the University of Kent. And then after she graduated, she spent several decades in television as a production executive at the BBC and other companies. So following in her dad's newsy TV footsteps.
Yeah, basically at this point, she's the same as Douglas Adams. So
exactly. She could have had the exact same career trajectory. But she got possibly more famous.
No.
How does that make you feel?
No. I don't like that.
If you go out and do a random survey of 100 people, Tyler, and you say Douglas Adams and 50 Shades of Grey, people are going to know 50 Shades of Grey more.
That's not fair. It would be Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy versus...
Okay, even that, 50 Shades of Grey is going to be more well-known.
That makes me very angry.
But it's true, isn't it?
I don't think that's true.
I think the numbers speak for themselves, and the fact that, like, most Americans can't even...
numbers are hypothetical. Your numbers are hypothetical right now.
Oh, they're gonna get literal.
Oh, no.
One of her jobs was at the National Film and Television School, where she met Niall Leonard, a screenwriter and novelist. They married in 1987, and they have two sons who are now in their 20s. I have no idea when they were born. And the family currently lives in London. So here's where fan fiction comes in. E.L. James had always been a fan of romance novels and erotica. She would read them on the tube, which is the British word for subway, commuting into London. But she felt self-conscious about all the sexy covers with, like, shirtless dudes and stuff. So she would tear them off, which, like, really offends my soul as a book person.
Even for erotica? Like cheap erotica books?
Well, okay, I just wouldn't read them in public, or I'd put, like, a paper bag over it or something.
Okay.
But that's blasphemy. You can't tear books up. And she promised that if she ever wrote books like that she would have tasteful covers where you don't know what's inside. So just keep that in mind if you ever stumble upon a copy of 50 Shades of Grey.
I have stumbled across several copies of this book, and it just looks like whatever, blah.
I guess it doesn't necessarily look like a sex book, like, from a distance.
It definitely does not. It looks like somebody went, hey, you know those Twilight covers? Let's do something like that.
Wow, what a coincidence that you brought up Twilight.
I know, it's so weird, right?
Because the infamous 50 Shades trilogy started as Twilight fan fiction. Which, like, I'm sure nobody knows or has heard about this series.
What?
We are breaking news.
If I can, I'm going to try and edit in that gif of that one guy who's like... for like a full minute. Because that's crazy. What? No.
I know, right? In 2008, James saw the first movie, I'm assuming. So her husband bought her all of the books for Christmas, and she became obsessed. She claims that she read them all in 5 days, which, yes, I will say that's obsession, if she did. Inspired by this amazing literature, she sat down to write a book for the first time in her life. She is worse than Kazuo Ishiguro or Lorna McDougall's husband.
Lorna McDougall's husband. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. And she was writing it basically as a sequel to the Twilight books, which blows my mind since I've read it, and it bears very little resemblance, but okay. It was originally called Master of the Universe and featured a college-aged Bella Swan being coerced into interviewing billionaire businessman Edward Cullen. So basically, the exact same plot as 50 Shades of Grey as you can purchase it now, but with Stephenie Meyer's character names.
How is this a sequel if they don't know each other and she's interviewing him?
I literally cannot tell you. Like, I think the books have been taken offline now, but like you can still see snippets somewhere of like the original version.
And also, Master of the Universe, that's He-Man. So she's stealing from two different properties at this point.
You should find some lawyers to sue on other people's behalf.
On He-Man's behalf, I'm going to be like, hey, guys, E.L. James, she's coming for the Masters of the Universe.
Well, luckily that was not the final title, and I'm not really sure how plagiarism works on fanfiction.net, but Is that
the website, fanfiction.net? Is that a real website?
Yes, and actually, this was like kind of the shit back when I was in high school. Like, I feel like a lot of people that I knew were writing fan fiction for various like stories on there. Like, there's fan fiction for literally anything you can imagine. I mean, Harry Potter's a really popular one, obviously. Twilight was huge. Lord of the Rings. I can't even think of all the other ones, but yeah. So fanfiction.net was very much a thing in the early 2000s.
All right, I'm on fanfiction.net.
I haven't been on it in probably 10 years at least. So.
It looks like the equivalent of like Craigslist for writing.
Oh, this is actually, yeah, I just looked it up too. This is not that different than I remember it looking. So It's very basic. Anyway, so that's where E.L. James, under her pseudonym, what did I say?
God,
Snow Queen's Ice Dragon.
Jet Jackson. Hannah, they got famous Jet Jackson. Everyone stop. They got famous motherfucking Jet Jackson over here.
I don't know who that is.
How do you not know what famous Jet Jackson is?
Is that a cartoon?
No, it was a live action show on like the Disney Channel probably. And it was dope as shit. The guy, there's one called Shades of Grey.
So there's Twilight fanfic?
Yeah. I don't own
That's
the
amazing.
Jackson characters. They belong to Disney. Yeah, here we go. You can keep reading your thing. I got this now. I'm good.
Oh my god. If you keep interrupting with random fanfictions that you find, I'm going to have to cut your mic somehow.
I won't interrupt unless it's a very big deal. Hold up. Where's the Between Lewis and Lovecraft fanfic?
Oh my gosh. Devani, Gage.
Become a patron today, and you are allowed to write fanfic.
Wait. No, I take it back. You don't want fanfic written about Between Lewis and Lovecraft because it's almost always weird and sexual.
Obviously, and obviously there's a line that we can't cross there. But like, I don't know. We've had some weird stories happen on our show that they can fanfic off the stories.
Okay, yes, you guys are allowed to fanfic about other people's stories.
That is what we'll allow.
I don't want to show up in a fan fiction.
Yeah, well, unless if I show up, I want to be classy. All right, I want to be the guy that's like changing out the water cooler while other people are getting it on. That's
that was a really confusing image in my head.
It's a Friends reference because Joey's in a porn and that's the part that he gets.
Okay. You should write some Friends fan fiction while you're at it.
Oh, I'm sure there's Friends fan fiction. What we're talking about, Hannah, is Lewis and Lovecraft fan fiction. Brianna, I know you're listening, and I know you can write. Devani, Gage, this is on you guys. I want to be on fanfic.net.
Okay. Wait, what's the thing that I say every time Tyler's done interrupting?
Anyway.
So, E.L. James originally posted her story on fanfiction.net, but removed it after there were complaints about the racy nature of the material, her agent told the LA Times in 2012. So, 50 Shades of Grey was too, sexy, even for fanfiction.net. But yeah, so like I said earlier, I found portions of it online, and it includes basically all of the same scenes that wound up in the finished novel, just written even more awkwardly, which I did not realize was possible. Someone even ran it through the plagiarism checker, Turnitin, and found Master of the Universe was 89% similar to 50 Shades of Grey.
Really?
89% similar.
Good Lord.
So her editors did nothing.
Could you please just change the names? That's all we need.
We just don't want to get sued.
Yeah.
But before she was even thinking about, actual publication, she rewrote it as an original story, changing the names of Bella and Edward to Anastasia Steele and Christian Grey. It might be Anastasia, but every time I read him saying her name, I was like, he's saying it Anastasia, isn't he? That's just how I hear Christian Grey saying it.
Isn't that closer to just anesthesia, to put you to sleep?
Ooh, there's no anesthesia in the first book.
Oh, damn it.
I cannot speak to the latter books. She created the website 50shades.com where she could post it as a serial. So that's something we talk about a lot with our authors is, posting long books as short installments. Uh-huh. She did it too. She's basically a classic literature person.
Stop comparing her to good writers. I know I did it once, but never again.
Never. She then turned it into a novel and self-published it through a no longer in existence writers community called the Writers Coffee Shop in May of 2011.
Is it no longer in existence because she destroyed it?
Oh, we're going to get to why it's no longer in existence.
Ooh, drama.
Drama. 1 year later, she had sold about 30,000 ebook downloads.
Good Lord.
Which is really good.
You said 1 year? 1 year later?
1 year. 30,000 ebook downloads.
That's a good income. That's at least $40,000 in 1 year.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much she was charging for it, but for self-publishing, that's amazing. And literary agents were also that's amazing. So they started reaching out to her. And in March of 2012, so less than 1 year after she put it up as an ebook, she signed a 7-figure contract. So at least $1 million with Random House's Vintage Books for a trilogy.
Because she sold 30,000 ebooks?
Yes.
So what you're saying is sell 30,000 and you'll make $1 million.
Yeah, now is the time. Strike while the iron is hot, guys.
Yeah.
I'm
just gonna log that into for later.
Your brain.
Yeah, for later's conversation.
It was a good call on Random House's part because 50 Shades sold 10 million copies in 6 weeks and 70 million by the end of the year. 70 million. Books were selling so fast that the printers in the British division ran out of silver ink for the black and metallic gray covers.
Nice. Is this all physical copies or is this ebooks as well?
Yeah. Well, it might include ebooks, but they were running out of printer or of ink and paper.
All right. Yeah, that's pretty dope. The question is, why the fuck? Why?
We can speculate madly about why the fuck in just a few minutes.
You keep not letting me talk about things, Hannah.
You said you weren't going to talk.
I know. I'm going to just...
Universal Pictures.
I'm going back to reading my IT crowd fan fiction.
Oh my God. Universal Pictures bought the film rights for a reported $5 million, and the rest is history. One fun fact that I found, her husband wrote the screenplay for the second and third movies, and he was like a legit screenwriter. So really? I'm just like, I want to look inside of his head and see if he realizes that this is shit.
I mean, at some point you gotta know, right? And like, there's shit jobs out there that you just do because it makes you money. And I feel like this is a combination of that, where it's like, we know this isn't good, but people are eating it up, so we're going to invest in it.
And also it's his wife, so like, supportive husband. But yeah, that's almost worse, because like, I don't know how I would feel if I was a legit screenwriter, and then my wife comes along and writes this terrible, terrible book that I know is bad literature, and she gets all the money and accolades.
Yeah. Sorry, I was fixing my microphone because I think I've been talking into the back of it this whole time.
Oh, gosh. I'm sure people heard you anyway.
Yeah, they'll be fine. Hey, that's a little bit better.
So now I'll tell you what happened to the writer's coffee shop.
Let's hear about it.
That caused it to be no longer in existence.
Let's hear the tea on the writer's coffee shop.
So the writer's coffee shop started around 2010. It was formed by a woman named Amanda Hayward from Australia and Jennifer Pedroza from Texas, who met in the Twilight fanfic forums.
Come on. Stephanie Myers. Changing the world. Creating
Hayward,
groups.
Yeah, right? There were so many positive things to come out of the Twilight fanfic forums, like all those, like, you know, super fans who got to organize the prom and stuff. This just turned into, like, a shit show, because Hayward, the Australian, she struck up a friendship with James, so the author of 50 Shades, and approached her about publishing the story through Writer's Coffee Shop. By 2013, the business had published at least 60 books by authors around the world, but 50 Shades was obviously the biggest moneymaker. In 2012, Hayward, kind of like behind the backs of everyone else who worked there, signed a multi-million-dollar contract with Random House to sell them the publishing rights for the books. And she got a percentage of future ebook royalties out of that. So she makes this deal, like doesn't really tell her business partner about it. And then she also starts trying to restructure the company to get better tax treatment in Australia. Her business partner, so Jennifer, who paid $14,000 of the publishing company's debt out of her own pocket, didn't know how much the Random House deal was for. And the next year, Hayward fired her and another employee as part of alleged downsizing. So basically, she cheated her out of millions of dollars.
Yeah. Yeah, holy shit. This is nuts.
And then in 2014, a lawyer heard about the scandal. His spidey senses were tingling, and he agreed to represent Jennifer Pedroza in suing Hayward. A judge initially awarded her $13.2 million, but Hayward appealed, and they eventually reached an undisclosed settlement. So that is the...
$5 million. That's probably what it was.
You think it was? They were just like, oh, we'll give you almost half.
Yeah, because that, I mean, it cuts it in half, or more than in half. And $5 million, that's the number to hit. If you're gonna make a very large sum of money very quickly, $5 million is the number.
Why's that?
Hey, you can live off of that for the rest of your life with no problems. Once you reach that, you can retire. You're done. It doesn't matter at what age, you're done.
Do you have to pay taxes on lawsuit money?
No.
Because then that becomes like $2.5 million, and then after you pay the lawyer $1.5 million, that's like $1 million.
What? Okay. Fine. Ruin my numbers, Hannah.
They were made up numbers.
I was trying to find one moment of happiness here in a podcast about stupid books that I don't care about, and you got me excited about millions of dollars. No, let's not have fun with those numbers.
really, it's the shittiness of it all that, made me angry and then happy when that Australian lady got sued. But she probably still has a lot of money, so that makes me sad again.
Just so you're aware, it's okay because there is a Law and Order SVU section
oh God.
on fanfic.net.
Oh, I thought you were going to say, like, there's a Law and Order SVU episode about how Amanda Hayward got murdered in revenge for this. I was like, oh, I did not see that on Google.
No. I mean, maybe there's a fanfic about it, though. I could see that. Oh, God damn. There's fan fiction for Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency, which is a book series written by...
Oh, wait. I know. Oh, God. I've heard the name Dirk Gently. Shit. Who? What is this?
Douglas Adams.
Oh, yeah. Wait. There's Douglas Adams fan fiction.
There's Douglas Adams fan fiction, yeah.
That's excellent. Okay. Now I'm going to need you to get off of fanfiction.net.
But there's so many good things.
No, you got to stop. You're like 15 years late to fanfiction.net.
Guys, I'm giving up. I'm just going to start writing fan fiction. 8 simple rules. There's 8 simple rules on here.
Tyler, if there's one message that you can take away from this episode, it's that fan fiction pays.
Does it? Oh, right, because $30 million. Sure, yeah, let's...
Because, yeah.
All right, I closed it. I did the hard thing. I closed the page on fanfic. I'm not going to enjoy this episode at all. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, that's fine. So... The book is, I mean, okay, you did no preparation for this episode. What do you know about 50 Shades of Grey, Tyler?
Okay, let's dig deep. I worked at a movie theater when the movies were coming out. I worked at a Radio Shack when I think the first movie came out, and we played the trailer for it all the time on our TVs at the Radio Shack. The book cover has a guy with a knot. He's tying a tie on the front cover. The girl is a reporter, and she goes to interview a guy, and he's super duper rich, and he's like, "Hey, let's have sex," and then she goes, "Yes, please," and then he says, "But when I have sex, I don't just have sex. I have to be weird about it." And then she says, "Well, I've never been a part of this world before. Please show me more." And he says, "A whole new world, a wondrous place for all to slap ass."
Why'd you bring Aladdin into this?
and so then she gets really into it. And then that's all I know of, like, the setup for that movie. And then I know that there's more books and or movies, and the common, like, thread is that they're trying to get married. Like, they're working past things. I don't know what a billionaire who can fuck anybody he wants has to get past, but he has to work through some things. And then she has a stalker, I think, is something that I've seen in some trailers. And maybe she gets kidnapped at one point, and he has to become Batman because he's Christian Bale Grey, and he's a billionaire. So then he dons his leather outfit and whips, and he goes after the guy in the night to attack the guy that stole his girlfriend. And then they have kinky, weird sex stuff things. And the word fuckery is in one of the books. Something fuckery. I remember that being a big thing.
Wow, that was it had grains of truth throughout it. It was weirdly specific at times, and at other times it was incorrect. But that is amazing that you got that much from movie trailers.
Yeah, well, it teaches me a lot.
So the one factual edit in the beginning is Anastasia is not a reporter. she goes to interview him because her roommate and best friend, who is a reporter, is sick that day and can't go do the interview. And as a reporter, I am just over here like, what the fuck? You can't just send somebody else to do your interview for you. Like, oh, hey, roommate, like, I know you're not a journalist, but here's my list of questions. Go interview this billionaire.
Yeah, if you're sick, you definitely send Talon to go do your job, right?
Okay, well, side note, I have taken Talon as my cameraman before, but...
Yeah, but that's different because his job aligned with what you were doing, so that's not the point I was trying to make.
I wouldn't be like, yeah, Talon, go ask some questions.
Yeah,
because that seems like...
Plus, you would be worried that he'd go talk to the billionaire, and then he'd, become...
Fall in love,
and then he'd go have weird BDSM sex with another dude.
That always occurs to me, actually.
I know. It's I've told you to stop sending your guys to that billionaire,
You should be a relationship counselor.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically what you said was semi-right. They meet in this totally not realistic way. And then he is somehow obsessed with her, even though she's just like... It's very stereotypical in so many ways, because it's like the clumsy, unremarkable looking girl who has no sexual experience whatsoever, and this like total sex maniac playboy who's like super sexy and has all of the money, and it's like, oh, he chooses her out of all of the ladies.
Because if I remember correctly, because he smells her and he loves her odor and he wants to eat her. Oh wait.
They had to cut that part out because they took the vampires out.
It's because he looks at her and sees her, and he likes the way and he wants to eat her because fuck her because of how she looks.
Yes. So basically, he's like, I want to do stuff with you, but before I tell you what kind of stuff, you have to sign a non-disclosure agreement. And she's like, that sounds awesome. So she signs a
That sounds great.
And then he's like, okay, come look at my room full of BDSM toys. And she's like, maybe. And then thinks about it. And it's just like, it's so dumb because it has like every single red flag and she ignores every single one of them. Like, not even that, like, no kink shaming here. BDSM is fine if it's between two consenting adults, whatever. But like, he's not a nice person, and he's like a stalker. He like shows up where he should not know that she is. He like makes a joke at one point about tracking her cell phone when they haven't even like gone out together. And I'm like, these are not good signs for your romantic relationship.
That is not good, dude.
No. And he's like, it's the total trope of like the bad boy who's like, oh, I'm not good for you, blah, blah, blah. And she's like, oh, but I love you. Like, why? Why? But regardless, this turned out to be wildly popular. 50 Shades is, of course, not the first erotica novel to incorporate BDSM, but it is the first one to end up on the main display tables at giant bookstores like Barnes & Noble. And it really made, like...
I know we haven't talked about her much, but Anne Rice wrote a bunch of weird stuff, too, right? Like, she had written, like, some crazy stuff.
I haven't read any Anne Rice stuff.
She wrote...
Is she romance or erotica?
She wrote the vampire stuff that everybody loves, the Interview for Vampire.
Yeah, but vampire is different than Whips and Chains.
But also, she wrote... I'm writing Anne Vampire.
Anne Vampire.
Anne Rice. She... erotic literature. Vampire Chronicles. And then... I remember it because I remember like reading the Wikipedia. I used to have a job where like I would literally just read Wikipedias of everything. And the claiming of Sleeping Beauty, Beauty's punishment, Beauty's release.
See, I feel like that's not on the front like shelf of Barnes and Noble.
I guess, I don't know. Anne Rice was just huge, so I didn't know if like she was up there with that shit. You know what I mean?
That shit.
And I don't even remember. I don't know when it came out. I didn't ever read it. I just read a Wikipedia, and I was like, people write about this? What the fuck?
People do write about this.
1983 is when that came out.
And one of the weird things about this was, like, how much... Like, it just surprises me that this is what impacts the culture so much. Like, James said she's had tens of thousands of readers write to her, telling her that her books, like, changed their lives, changed their relationships. Like, it didn't matter if it was people who had been married, like, 40 years or one. Like, for some reason, they felt compelled to tell her, like, oh, reading about BDSM, like, completely changed our marriage.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, maybe that's what some people needed. In order
to spice it up.
Yeah, to have that. Good Lord, person. They left the largest fucking... Okay, couple things. First, 1999, not 1983. That's when it came out, 1999. And it was a New York New York Times bestseller, just so you're aware. So, like, I know of erotica that has been out there before, but the point being...
The point being BDSM.
Lost their shit. People lost their fucking minds over this story.
They did.
The same way that people lost their minds over Twilight.
Over Twilight, yeah. And she has tried to launch it into, like, more of a writing career. I don't know how that's going to work out for her. Because her first truly original book, The Mister, came out in 2019, so 2 years ago. And that's, like, full of tropes again. It's about a rich English playboy. Wow, a slutty male character as the lead who falls in love with his undocumented Albanian maid who has been sex trafficked. She's also a 23-year-old virgin. And that's, like, the other, like, trope in here. It's like, why are the main characters always, like, in their 20s and virgins and, like, falling in love with the bad boys?
How are you
a new plot line?
How are you sex trafficked and a virgin? I don't understand the sex traffic world, so I guess I don't get it.
She gets sex trafficked, but she somehow, like, escapes. Before they get... It's like in the early stages of Taken. Right. She gets out before they get to the heroin part.
She's the other girl that no one cared about.
No, that girl died.
I know. Hey, come on. Stop ruining all my fun. I try to forget that the other girl died. It was sad. Liam Neeson
I'm like, you are rewriting this plot. So E.L. James apparently cannot write anything that's, like, truly original or riveting in any way. But she's got that 50 Shades money, and she has, like, a whole line, or, like, she goes around, like, copywriting different, like, sex toys and, like, things related to 50 Shades of Grey, just so that if anyone's going to make the money off of her brand, it's going to be her.
Yeah, because she knows how easy it is to steal somebody else's brand and run with it.
Because she did it. She went, this is a great book. Let me write it a little differently, 15% differently, and then I'll make $30 million. And poor Stephanie Meyer, who tried so hard to keep, like, explicit sex out of her books, and then this woman just comes along and it's like, nope, it's going to be 100% sex.
Not only does that happen, but then everyone shoves it in Stephanie's face. Everyone's like, oh, Stephanie, how do you feel about the fact that somebody rewrote your book and put a bunch of sex in it? Isn't that terrible? And she's like, good for her to write a book. Like, way to go. That takes a lot of work. I don't like that there's sex in it, but that's why I didn't put sex in mine. Please keep sex out of the Twilight thing. It's not my jam. I'm a Mormon. Remember?
Direct quote.
Yeah. I'm going to make that a direct quote with Stephanie Meyer's face.
Oh gosh, is that illegal?
I'm pretty sure putting a fake quote on top of someone's face is not illegal in today's day and age.
No, yeah, we definitely won't get in trouble for that. So
if that's the straw that breaks Stephanie, like she's put up with all this shit, and then we post a picture that's a joke that is actually defending her, and then she loses her shit and she, like, goes after us. That would be hilarious. It would be, honestly.
We would get probably super famous.
We would. We'd have so many listens. We'd have so many patrons. It'd be great.
Yes, patrons just paying our legal fees at that point. Okay, so moving on to the next fan fiction author.
Yes, please.
Is one Anna Todd. Anna Renee Todd was born March 20th, 1989 in Dayton, Ohio.
She's my age.
Wow.
I'm a month and a half younger than this woman.
Wow.
Makes me
you guys have
sick.
a lot in common already.
Makes me sick.
One of the most annoying things about her is that on her website, she describes herself as growing up about an hour north of Cincinnati, Ohio. And I'm just like, why? Do people not know where Dayton, Ohio is? Like, why are you hiding where you came from? Why are you saying Dayton is just like an unnamed town hour north?
You're so heated up over this, Hannah. I've never seen you so worked up about.
Well, because I was trying to compile some information for this episode. And I'm like, why are you hiding where you from, girl? So then I had to do extra work to find out she was from Dayton. And I'm like, this isn't middle of nowhere. I mean, it is Ohio, but still.
Yeah.
So yeah.
That bitch. How dare she make you do a Google search?
I just think it's real sus.
Just to clarify too, what I was saying, I'm sick. It's not the fact that we share a close birthday. It's more just the fact that she's famous. I'm doing an episode of my show on a woman who is my age.
I completely understood that. I know how you feel about people who are the same age as you. And
well, all I ask is if you're gonna be younger than me, don't be more successful than me in any way. All right? Look, I just don't like that. Justin Bieber and I are not on good terms right now.
No, you don't even want to know about Billie Eilish then. So, Anna Todd's website bio glosses over some of the more disturbing aspects of her childhood, but according to a feature in The Atlantic, her dad was a drug addict and was stabbed to death shortly before her first birthday.
Jesus. That was out of nowhere.
Starting out with tragedy. She grew up in a trailer park raised by her mother, who also struggled with substance abuse issues, so she had a tumultuous childhood. She describes herself as finding a love of reading from a young age, sort of that like escapism thing, like shit is real bad at home. Yeah. I'm going to read The Babysitter's Club and Goosebumps, which were some of her early favorites.
Everybody else around her is like, oh, have you read that terrifying new Goosebumps? She's like, my dad was stabbed when I was 1. Nothing R.L. Stine can write will scare me, son.
She still liked it, though.
I just really wanted to do that very intimidating out of nowhere voice.
Your impressions of female authors are just like on point. Like it's like I'm talking to Anna Todd. So by the time she was a teenager, she was in love with classic literature. Pride and Prejudice and Little Women are ones that should be obvious to readers because she's got a lot of Pride and Prejudice references in the After series, and she wrote a modern retelling of Little Women, which is like offensively bad. So I just don't get all of these authors who are fans of the classics, but then like write so shittily. I am not a fan of the classics.
The irony of what you just said is fantastic.
No, I'm not a fan of the classics, so I can say stuff like shittily because I don't care about Pride and Prejudice. I'm not a hypocrite.
Give a shit about Jane Austen, so I'm gonna use words like shittily.
I am lowbrow and proud. Anna Todd married her high school boyfriend Jordan when she turned 18. He was in the Army, so they moved to Fort Hood where he was stationed. Hey, they dated for like 2 years, so
still they
passed the test.
Still okay. Look, Tyler, the Tie the Bible guy dating strategy does not apply when you are very young. Like if you date someone for 2 years and you're 15, I don't support you getting married.
We need to have a whole episode where We need a whole episode of just you like laying out your rules for relationships because I can't keep up with all of them.
Yeah, it's a very nebulous situation. It changes depending on my mood and how gross people are, and how much Davani's been giving me shit about things that she disagrees with. We'll have her on an episode, and she and I will just argue about that. So
about your relationship rules.
Yeah, it's great.
Perfect. So this teenage bride moves to Fort Hood with her now husband, where he was stationed in the Army. She took some college courses, but she got bored, didn't like that shit. So then she enrolled at a Los Angeles Fashion Institute, but changed her mind after visiting the campus.
Yep, okay.
I don't know why. She was just like, too many brick buildings, maybe.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I have zero idea why she gave up.
So then she waitressed at Waffle House and worked the makeup counter at Ulta.
Could you have two of the most cliche, like, we're gonna make it on our own sort of jobs? Like, oh, and what do you do? Oh, I'm a waitress down at Waffle House, and I part time as a makeup person at Ulta.
I like how you called it Ultra.
It's way better than Ulta.
I feel like these jobs, like, I would not think that a girl who worked at Waffle House would work at Ulta, and like vice versa. They seem like a weird combination, but like whatever.
Like she transcends cliques, though, is the thing.
She does.
She doesn't let where she works define who she is. She's gonna rise up and do whatever the fuck gets money.
The American dream.
Yeah.
Anna had always been a fangirl. She says that, like, from a very young age, whenever she found something she really liked, she, like, really liked it and got obsessed with it. And then, like, would move on to the next pop culture phenomenon and get really into that. She was in the Josh Hartnett fan club when she was 13.
Who wasn't in the Josh Hartnett fan club?
Not me, because I had to, like, look up who he was. I'm like,
really?
Who's Josh Hartnett?
He was the man. He was the one that we all wanted to live at the end of Pearl Harbor. The reason why they killed him is because it was a more emotional end than Batflack over there still raising Hartnett's kid.
This is like a late 80s kid thing. I'm a 90s kid, so...
Oh, right. I forget that you're a baby child and you didn't know who real people were.
Yeah, that's right.
You're obsessed with those TikTok children.
No, that's Gen Z, so watch it. That's my boyfriend.
Oh my God, you're so angry.
But I mean, me being a 90s kid means that I got obsessed with Twilight at a way more appropriate age than Anna Todd did. She was 20 when she got super into Twilight, which I think is just a little bit embarrassing. Then it was 50 Shades of Grey. So, you know.
Classic.
Lateral move. And then at 23, it was the British boy band One Direction.
Of course.
Tyler, do you know where I'm going with this? He doesn't know anything. Oh my God.
No, okay. I have zero idea. I'm trying to be like, ooh, can I Sherlock Holmes this? No, I have no idea.
One Direction is the fan fiction that made her a millionaire.
What? She wrote fanfic for a band?
Sort of. So her son Asher was born around 2012 or 2013 and had a lot of medical issues. So Anna spent a lot of time at home reading. And around spring of 2013, she started to obsess over what apparently were called punk edits of One Direction in the fan world. So basically people would Photoshop pictures of the band covered in tattoos and piercings.
What?
This is so confusing to me. She also started reading Imagines, which were like tiny fanfics told entirely in Instagram posts. And she would read the like Imagines about One Direction.
I hate the term Imagines. Do
you know, have you run into these?
I know what they are. Yes, I've been on Wattpad for years. Of course I know what a fucking Imagines is. The problem is it's grammatically incorrect and I hate saying it. I hate it so much.
Is it supposed to be like a noun?
Yeah, it's an Imagines.
So like an imagined story.
Yeah. I wrote and imagines.
And imagines?
And imagines.
Oh, God.
That's why I hate it. It's so bad, Hannah.
It's so bad. Okay, so it's going to get worse before it gets even worse. So soon she found Wattpad, that thing that you're talking about, which for people who aren't nerds like us is an online publishing and reading service where many Imagines creators wrote longer episodic stories. While there, she read fanfics where Zayn, one of the guys in One Direction, was a vampire king.
No.
One where Niall was a cat that turned into a boy who Harry fell in love with, Harry Styles.
Gross.
And one day, people weren't updating their stories fast enough for her, and she was getting bored, so she thought, maybe I'll write my own story.
Yeah, of course. Why not write about the vampire king and the boy who loved a cat?
No vampires here, but she did take a stab at her own story, typing it on her phone and posting it, which is just like, ugh. It makes my thumbs hurt. So basically her story is about an innocent college freshman named Tessa who goes off to school and falls for bad boy Hardin Scott, who was originally Harry Styles.
Hardin. What's up, dude? If I'm not here...
He's British.
What's up, dude? If you're not here, I'm not Hardin. What's up?
Ew, gross. So, okay, yeah. The plot of this terrible book is, I mean, you could say it in that one sentence that I did, but basically Tessa is like this goody-goody virgin who has a boyfriend who's still back home and is like a senior in high school or whatever. And she goes to, in the original version, Washington State University, which is where I went to school, which is also 50 Shades of Grey. The main character went to Washington State University, Vancouver. So the Vancouver campus.
Oh my
so
God.
that they could live in Portland.
Of course.
Which... I don't know if this is time for my setting rant or if I should save that for the very end.
Do it.
But
I'm not going to rant on this episode. Hannah, take over the rant. I give you the reins. Do it, please.
So these books are bad for like a multitude of reasons. But one of the things that pisses me off most is because they're in the Northwest and they use like actual locations like Portland and Washington State University and Seattle and stuff. But it's so obvious that neither author has ever been to any of these places. So in 50 Shades of Grey, it's stupid because like she writes it like a British person because she's British. So they're always saying stupid stuff that doesn't sound like how Americans would talk. And they're referring to things like, oh, I read it in the society pages. And I'm like, the society pages of Portland, Oregon? Like, what the fuck are those? So that's the 50 Shades thing. In After, I'm just like, this is really obviously not in Eastern Washington. And there's so many like plot things that don't work out there. And the characters are weird. It's like, I don't know where Anna Scott went to college, but basically everybody in Tessa's circle that she meets, like her roommate who introduces her to Hardin, the love interest, and all of their friends, they're like all super tatted up, like supposed to be like emo or scene kids or whatever. And I'm like, okay, what 18-year-old is already covered in sleeve tattoos by the time they get to college? It's not legal in Washington to tattoo a minor. So I'm just like, how is this working out?
I did it myself. Because I'm Hardin.
I'm reading it and I'm like, is there like some underground tattoo industry in Washington that I should be reporting on? Like, what is going on here? And yeah, the dialogue is terrible. And basically my whole thing is just like, if you're going to set something somewhere, like know the place a little bit or just make up a place. Stop using real places when it's going to be so transparently bad.
Yeah.
That's my setting rant. Story rant, though. This is a terrible book. It was actually very engaging, and it was a real page turner for the first half, but it's like 550 pages long. So,
what?
Yeah, and like it takes until chapter 80 something for them to actually do it.
Well, okay. That's not how I judge a book, but okay.
It's like halfway through. So, well, that's the whole point of this book. Is it's just like a back and forth, like
yeah, to
Hardin is being mean to Tessa, and she's like, wow, that really hurt my feelings. And then she's like, but he's hot, so I love him. And it's just like this whole game of cat and mouse. And meanwhile, you're like, dude, you have a boyfriend at home. Like, why are you being so mean to him? Just break up with him because you clearly don't like him. And then, like, I don't know, finally I was bored almost of waiting for them to actually get together. I'm like, stop toying. Like, every chapter is the same thing. It's like, oh, he's an asshole, but then, like, at the end of the chapter he does something nice and she's like, oh, he likes me. It's terrible. It's the worst book ever. It actually might be the worst book ever. I liked 50 Shades of Grey more than After. And 50 Shades was pretty bad.
Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter which one is better, which one you like more. They're both terrible.
And they're both totally tropey because, again, you have the, like, college freshman virgin, like, her boyfriend relationship is barely even anything. Like, they don't even really kiss. And then she meets the bad boy and she's like, oh, I'm going to throw all of my, like, worries about school, which I'm so dedicated to when I arrive on campus. All of that's going to go out the window. I'm going to start acting like a total idiot. And it's like, come on. This has been done so many times. Why? Why? And also,
right,
he's just like,
I'm gonna write a book and I'm gonna post it on Amazon, and it's gonna be the same setup, the exact same setup, and it's gonna be completely different. I'm telling you right now, I'm gonna do this. By the end of the year, I'm gonna write a story. It's gonna be great. It's gonna be $3.99 on Amazon, ebooks, whatever it is, Kindle. You can buy it. And if I don't sell 50,000 copies in the first year, I'm going to be pissed. I'm going to write this book, and it's going to be great.
It seems like a formula, and I don't get it. Because, like, a lot of people criticize these books for having, like, toxic relationships. Like, clearly it's very bad that these dudes are assholes, and, like, it just makes the girl want them more, almost. It's like, no, the correct response is to be like, you're a dick. I'm not going to talk to you anymore. So say what you will about the toxic relationship aspects. I think it's just boring. Yeah. It's boring because it's just like, it is the same conflict again and again. And it goes on for 3 or 4 books or however many books they get a deal for. It's like, oh, they break up at the end. Oh, they start to get back together in the next book. Oh, something goes wrong and they break up again. So yeah, that's my main criticism, is that it's fucking boring. But apparently I'm the only one who thinks that, because in 1 year, her posts on Wattpad racked up nearly 500 million with a B views. And she landed a 6-figure 4-book deal with Simon & Schuster's Gallery Books in 2014. The editor cleaned up grammar and typos, cut a few chapters, and requested more sex scenes because waiting until chapter 82 required a lot of sex after that. And the other 3 books came out over the next few months. So 4 books came out over the course of about a year. And this was like 2 years after she started writing them.
Yeah.
2 years, 4 books. Paramount bought the rights to the movie by fall 2014. The first one came out in 2019, the second in 2020, which Todd actually wrote the screenplay for, and the third is supposed to come out next month. Now, Tyler, I watched After on Netflix, and by watched, I mean I skimmed through 60% of it. It was so, like, the movie was so much worse than the book. It was so boring. I could not keep from, like, looking at my phone. And it stars Baby Voldemort from the 6th Harry Potter movie.
Okay.
Do you remember that actor? He's, like, actually related to the actual actor who plays Voldemort. But I can't pronounce, like, Ralph Fiennes. Right. However you say his last name. So the love interest is Baby Voldemort, and he has one scowly expression for the entire movie and speaks in a monotone. He's basically the male equivalent of Kristen Stewart, and I hated him. It was terrible, and I actually regret watching as much of the movie as I did. It was even worse than the book. So if you have to choose, read the book, but don't do either.
I just looked him up.
Hero Fiends something.
Hero Phineas.
I should. Ralph Fiennes is like a super famous actor, but I don't know how to say his last name correctly.
Okay. Yeah, I have zero idea. All I know is, okay, it's that guy, it's that kid that I didn't really care about in the Harry Potter movie because he wasn't in.
Yeah. Well, wait until you see him make out.
No.
So yeah.
No, I don't want to do that.
So to wrap up Anna Todd's life story thus far, she's like, what, 32 now? 32.
Yeah, she'd be 32.
She's got more money than she could ever need. In fact, I think that was a quote that I saw in one of the articles in a Billboard interview. She said, "I never thought I could be an author. I've already made more money than I ever dreamed of making in my entire life. People spend 10 years trying to get a book published. They have degrees, they're a hell of a lot smarter than me, and they may have way better grammar than me. But I use the internet, and that's what set me apart." She's not wrong, but I hate her for it a little bit.
Yeah, sure. She did a thing and she made lots of money. How we can't really be mad at her for being successful, right? Like,
no, I think I'm just jealous. I'm like,
yeah.
I feel like you're a way worse writer than me, but you're the one with millions of dollars, and I'm sitting here talking about your book.
And yeah, and that's what it comes down to. And I'm going through a lot of emotions right now. It's some gumbo work that I'm working through. The gumbo. At the end of the day, I'm not mad personally at either of these two authors for writing the stories that they want to write. Even if it is basically plagiarism, they're still writing what they want to write. And as a writer, that is the only thing that you can do, is just write your story. So it's hard to be mad at them because they're doing something right, which is writing a story. It's the world that's fucking stupid. That it's the publishing industry that pisses me off. It's the people that buy into this shit that are so man, they're so desperate for something that they're willing to give credence to the lowest common denominator. I don't know how else to put it. Like, it's just, they just want to watch porn. Just go fucking watch porn. Seriously. Oh my God, it pisses me off. Look, I had this conversation with someone a while back where Twitch started having girls who were sitting in hot tubs and they were like doing content, but they were wearing like bikinis, like basically nothing, right? And they're in hot tubs. And that was the whole thing. And people were freaking out because they're stealing viewers from us who are actually creating content. We're actually like playing games and interacting with our streams and stuff, and they're stealing viewers from us. And at the end of the day, I was like, look, three things are gonna happen. They're not gonna care, and those are the people you really want on your stream to be watching you because they don't give a fuck about these rando chicks. Or they're gonna leave for like 10 minutes, bro. And then they'll be back. Just chill. Just chill out. They'll be back. Because guess what? It's not that big a deal. Or they'll leave and they'll go watch a 3-hour stream of a girl in a bikini in a tub. And those people you don't want a part of your community in the first place. So just give a nice round of applause to the girls that are taking away the weird ones. And at the end of the day, those people, all they really want is to see a naked girl. And you can do that so easily on the internet. It's not hard. So just go do it. Okay? Get it over with and move on with your life. You don't need to go and buy a 583-page book that spends half of the time titillating you with sex, and instead watch a 12-minute scene where they just hammer at each other, and then it's over, and you're good. And you
okay, I'm gonna disagree with you in a second, but first, can I want to like make a slogan out of "Let's hear it for the girls who are like taking the weird ones" or whatever you said about the Twitch streamers. That was amazing. But I mean, my disagreement is mainly like clearly the audience for this kind of stuff is not men, it's women, which I think is like a larger thing about, because I feel like people who watch porn are primarily men.
Sure.
And people who read like erotica are primarily women, so that probably speaks to like different tastes and like psychology of what you like. And I personally have no problem with people reading erotica. I just wish it were better quality.
Sure. And I think that I mean the lines in my metaphor got blurred quite a bit. One, to your point, I do believe that it's watching porn has been has a stigma to it, obviously, because it's pretty bad. And when you're in a relationship with somebody, it can really be detrimental to them. And that's a whole nother tie the Bible guy conversation. We don't have to get into it right now. But if you're a woman and what you're looking for is some healthy activity, you don't need to read the book to get that. And we don't need to sell $30 million worth of these shitty books for you to get that. You can find that elsewhere. That is the point I was trying to make. It exists outside of the lowest common denominator of writing. You can do better, is what I'm saying. You can do better, and porn is better than these books.
No! Oh my God, no.
Yes,
I think
absolutely it is. 100% it is. Because this type of writing glorifies laziness. This type of writing creates the idea that, oh, you don't have to try. All you have to do is get your shit on the internet and you will make it. And that quote right there just put the nail in the coffin for me. There are people who are smarter than me. There are people that have degrees and they spend 10 years trying to perfect their story. I have the internet and I know how to use it, and I'm gonna fucking make a lot of money. And then little girls everywhere start tip-tapping at their little 30 seconds of summer, whatever it is, and they're Backstreet Boys fan fiction, and they think they're gonna make it, and they don't try harder, and they get away with not having to be better as writers, because they don't need to be better, because the publishing industry has cultivated a system in which they can make money off of shit, and so writing becomes less and less good.
I disagree, because both of these examples were self-published. The publishing industry wanted nothing to do with this until they were like, oh crap, these people are making a ton of money on their own. We need to do this. So the publishing industry, I feel like, was very snobby to begin with, and now they're like, oh wait, sex sells? Who could have predicted that?
But that's the point. The whole beginning process is these girls are going online to read these shitty stories when they don't have to. There are better stories for you to read. Like,
not ones about sex?
There can be better stories about sex. Write better sex stories. Tyler Clausen, write better sex stories.
But nobody was publishing those. So I feel like the Wattpad thing is like, the pro is that anybody can write something and you don't need the publishing companies as the gatekeeper. But the con is that when anybody can write something, you get like 99% shit. And then you have to sort through it for the 1% like well-written stuff.
And look, I'm not against Wattpad. I have 2 books on Wattpad, right? So like I know what it's like to be able to say it feels good to put something out, right? And it's fun to be able to write something and just you don't have to worry about editing. You don't have to proofread it. You don't gotta pay for blah blah blah. You can just go.
You can literally type it on your phone.
You can literally type it on your phone. Download the picture from Google, and then like get an app that has like fonts that you can throw on, and you can create your own cover that says "The blood of the one I love" over a picture of a rose like superimposed in front of the face of like Josh Hartnett, right? Like, you can do that if you want. And then you can just write your damn story and you just put it out there. And that's great. Expression is so good. But it's a matter of there's a difference between expression and trying to make a career out of something and becoming an artist. There's a huge difference between expression and artistry. And I don't know, it's hard. It's hard for me to be like, yeah, Wattpad's great, but also it fucking sucks. Because there's so much and the good ones get left behind because it's hard to find them. So that's been my ad to go check out the second Rebecca Moon story on Wattpad, which is exclusive on Wattpad.
Also, I have a strong sense that we're going to have a picture on our Instagram at some point of blood whatever with a rose over Josh Hartnett's face.
Oh yeah, 100%. I'm going to be superimposing a rose with Josh Hartnett and the blood of the one I love. Yeah.
Blood of the one I love. Yes, that coming soon to Wattpad.
That'll be the name of the book that I will write on Amazon that I expect everyone to go out and buy.
Watch it actually be super good.
Great. If I can make $30 million writing shit, you know what? At this point, I know I just stood on my high horse and I did my whole parade. But if I can fucking make $30 million writing the blood of the one I love, and then the sequel, the blood of the one after, I'll do it.
Capitalism wins. All right. Outro time. I don't have a teaser for next episode because, as usual, we need to decide what the hell we're talking about. But listeners, be warned, it will not be erotica. I know you really enjoyed this, but we're going back to keeping it PG.
Yeah, we've got 6 weeks before we need to start thinking about some Halloween stuff that's coming. So, I posted about it today that we have the flash fiction for Halloween coming up. Submissions need to be in by October 4th. And flash fiction stories are 500 to 700 words. Anything you want to write about as far as horror, scary, silly, spooky, creepy, anything. It feels like every time we do this, the bar just raises a little bit more. But I don't want you guys to think that means that you as a new writer cannot submit. You should submit. That sounds gross.
Going back to 50 Shades of Grey, huh?
I just love it so much. I'm getting ready to write my own, so sorry the verbiage is there. If you wanna write scary, silly story, all that, just write it and send it in, and you will get critiques back and you'll learn a little bit of how to write better, because here at Lewis and Lovecraft we don't want to help produce the next 50 Shades of Grey. We want to help produce the next Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. A better book.
We came full circle there. Yeah. But also I think you're being a little bit, you're like scaring them. We consistently love every single thing that people send us, so
yeah.
We're not going to be mean to you.
You're going to get a lot of encouragement from us because we genuinely love everything that comes through. And you'll get your story read on our show. So that's exciting. And bonus points to
why?
to Between Lewis and Lovecraft fan fiction.
I just want a fan fiction, like a horror story where you kill us both at the end.
Hannah, do we need to do a Between Lewis and Lovecraft fan fiction flash fiction?
Fan fiction flash? Oh my gosh, no, that's too much. We don't need to do 2 Halloween specials.
Okay, just if you have an idea, you don't have to do a full fan fiction. Please don't make an erotic fan fiction. But if you want to throw us in as characters in your story, you are more than welcome to use us. And we'll consider that our flash fiction, or fan fiction flash fiction.
If you want to send us those stories or any feedback on the show, Tyler, where can they send that?
You'll need to email us at lewisandlovecraft@gmail.com. That's lewisandlovecraft@gmail.com. Write it up. email it over. We'll get emails. If you have reviews of books that you've read, we want to start reading those on our show, just so that people can get other ideas. If you have opinions about the authors we talk about, please send those in. We want to hear about those. You can also talk to us on our Facebook page, facebook.com/LewisandLovecraft. You can talk to us on Instagram at Lewis and Lovecraft on Instagram, and you can leave us opinions about the authors that we talk about on those sites as well. And you can go to our website, lewisandlovecraft.com, to kind of see how to get to everywhere else if you don't know how to get there.
And actually, if someone listening to this disagrees with my takes on 50 Shades of Grey and or after and wants to talk to me about why they're actually great books, hit me up, send me a message, and let's do some correspondence, because I want to talk to somebody who actually likes these books.
Yeah, we got some correspondence openings. So if you are an author or someone who wants to be a guest on our show, hit us up. We're always happy to try and set that up as well.
Awesome. And as always, we want to say thank you to Jake Basson for our awesome intro music. You can find him and all his other cool music at soundcloud.com/Jake Basson.
Nice. Don't forget to subscribe to our show wherever you're at right now. However you're listening to our show, just hit that little subscribe button, whether it's on iTunes or Spotify or somewhere else. Podchaser is also a good place.
And rate and review us on Apple Podcasts and Podchaser. Those are two places I don't think you can necessarily anywhere else. But if your app allows it, please give us as many stars as it will let you. And say some nice things about us.
We would appreciate it. And Podchaser, it's like a dusty old western town right now. We need some more stuff going on there. So leave a review. We'll talk about it on our show, because it makes us really happy when people do that. And
even if they're mean reviews.
Yeah, we will. And Hannah, what is the best thing that someone can do for us?
Oh, God. Other than writing fan fiction.
I was going to say, other than doing our job and going and talking to a billionaire for us when we have it.
Oh, gosh. Yeah, that would be a way to help me out. But no, I think the best way you can help both of us is to tell your friends about our show.
Yeah. Yes, it is. We don't really do a lot of advertising anywhere. Like, we can't afford a billboard or anything. And so if you like our show, tell a friend. And you'd be surprised how incredibly important that is to a show like ours. So we don't have anything to make fun of going into the next episode. So you know what I'm going to do?
Look up more fan fiction.
I'm just going to go ahead and start reading some fan fiction while we go.
Oh, God.
We want to find some movies. No. Let's see. What's Sherlock Holmes. Classic Sherlock Holmes.
You're definitely going to get, sexy times in this.
Mrs. Hudson was at her wit's end with one Sherlock Holmes. She met John Watson most urgently in his medical office one afternoon. Having said she was going out to the market, she was terribly wound up, declaring she simply must have a holiday. A very long holiday. She insisted that the doctor find someone to stay for an extended time to care for the detective, as she did not plan to return until after the new year had started.
This is more well written than I was expecting.
Yeah, I know, it's actually pretty good. There were no other tenants in the building, and with the way that the detectives had started acting, it didn't look like there would be any applications in the foreseeable future.
Still going.
Oh, Mrs. Middleton set her cup on the tray and sat back as Holmes reasoned. When she spoke, sadness ran with words. You're very perceptive. It's as if you read a book that someone had written about me. Quite exciting to behold. However, I'm afraid I must correct you on one point. It was not the gentry's children I took care of, Mr. Holmes. It was the gentry's bedlam.